All right. What's up, man? We appreciate y'all for checking into the G Spot podcast tonight. I know I've been missing for a couple weeks, but we're gonna get into that for a little bit too. Why I've been missing or whatever. Tonight topic we're gonna be talking about mental health. We're doing a mental health check in. It's something I want to start doing at the beginning of every month. Start having other people come on. You know what I'm saying? We as a community, we need to start focusing on our mental health. It's it's taboo in the Black community to talk about even going to therapy. You know, a lot of people make the jokes. I know some of y'all familiar with the jokes. They had a meme on social media about it, talking about when you tell your mama you depressed and she say depressed and damn dishes. Yeah, we gonna talk about how can we get over that in our community, man, because it's a lot going on. It's a lot of stuff that's about to go on. I feel like, and I say this all the time, if COVID did not wake you up,
the first
to see how quick things can change, and to if y'all even look at the media, I don't know if y'all been seeing issues with a lot of countries are now changing how they use money, the currency things are changing, especially even over in Africa, and we'll get into that, the whole Bitcoin situation and how Lataka been stealing from Cash Out. You know, they put her with Cash Out and everybody been talking about the money. I don't know if y'all dealt with the situation with Cash Out. Yeah, I knew it when old buddy got killed. It was gonna be some problems. Okay, yeah, but tonight, man, I got some special guests in the building. First of all, as y'all know, my co-host Mercedes, my best friend. We have in the building, we have Camelia, Willis in the building. For you who know that I do go to yoga every once in a while, I need to get up on that stretch, dog. You know what I'm saying? That's a yoga class I go to, comedic yoga, right? And I'll let her introduce and tell her what she do.
Okay. Peace and light, y'all. My name is Camelia. So off top, I'm a mental health counselor. I'm a certified comedic yoga instructor. I also play singing bowls, and I'm certified in comedic Reiki. My mission is to help others heal themselves. One thing I had to realize is we can't do it for them, because if you're trying to help somebody and they don't want your help, they'll just drain your energy. So you have to be surrounded by people who want to start the journey of healing and want to get better. So
Right.
that's pretty much it. I'm a me most of my day. But yeah.
Yeah, she downplay who she is, but she a lot of things. You feel what I'm saying? But I appreciate you for coming. Then we got my boy Brandon in the building. Brandon, you tell him what you do.
I do many things, but namely, I'm the CEO of Just Be Solutions, which is a one-stop shop technology, media, and marketing consulting firm. We do everything from designing websites to filming award-winning documentaries. Gentris and Camelia and I have worked together on a project before, and so they know about my technical prowess, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd, but I'm a cool nerd.
That's right. You're very cool.
Yeah.
And know your stuff.
Thank you. And secondly, I am a writer. I write for several publications, Bantu Cola, here locally in Pensacola, Florida. I'm also writing for the brand new magazine that Real Women Radio Foundation just purchased called Outfront Magazine. So the next issue will be released in July.
Yeah.
And so you'll see a lot of my work there. I also am a journalist, and I do that for Real Women Radio as well. So father, got three sons, have a dog, and some chickens. Yeah, I want to talk about.
You damn sure gonna need them now.
Talk about the chickens. If you don't have your own way to sustain yourself, it would behoove you to start learning how to do things such as agriculture, raising chickens, and we will talk more about that when we discuss my battle with cancer. I'll go more into why I think that's important.
I see.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming here, man. Thank you for coming. Thank you for our guests out in the back. We thank y'all too. Make sure y'all will see them soon. Y'all will see them soon on their own platform as well. First and foremost, let me go ahead and get these church announcements out the way real quick. First Sunday. Well, first announcement we got. Make sure if y'all not doing nothing tomorrow night, make sure y'all come to the happy hour, Pensacola Happy Hour, man. We got they got the Hog performing this time, and I will be co-hosting with Charles Gibson. So make sure y'all come check it out. I don't know if anybody who hasn't been, but man, it's definitely a vibe. Oh, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. And me and her, we talked. That's what we talked. That definitely bring your tent. Yeah. And it's a family oriented brand. Yeah, you can bring your children. You know, it's like a big family reunion for real. Yeah, it's definitely a vibe. So make sure y'all check that out this Friday from 5 to 10 p.m. Here in Pensacola, Florida, downtown Pensacola, Florida. You will definitely see this on the G Spot podcast page and on my personal page if you haven't already. Our next announcement. Make sure y'all come to the Black Men Crown Award ceremony. My podcast made it as a finalist, nominated as a finalist.
Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. And you know I plan on being the sharpest Negro in the room. You know what I'm saying? I got a little ensemble. You know, it's good to have people in your pocket. You feel what I'm saying? So make sure y'all check that out. That's July 9th or whatever. Tickets $30, $350 for VIP tables, and at the Grotto Hall here in Pensacola, Florida. Also, we got another announcement too. Okay, we got the annual school supplies and clothes drive. In Marino Court on August 8th from 2 to 6 p.m. and they'll have haircuts. How about this? We gonna let the woman who over this. We'll let her come talk about it. Come on up, Tara. All right.
Y'all probably can't see this.
Yeah, I'm hating on them teeth right now, but let me just
See?
yeah. I'm hating on them teeth right now.
All I want going.
Look at
For your
that.
credit. And then you can put these on your credit.
Yeah, best and hit her up for the credit repair. Yeah.
So most people know me from my credit repair business, TML Credit Consulting. Yes. So you heard good things?
Yeah.
Okay.
You good.
Okay. So this is through my nonprofit. My nonprofit is Transitioning Through Trauma to Triumph. It's a domestic violence nonprofit. And we're hosting the annual school drive, school supply for Marino Court kids. And we're in need of backpacks with school supplies in them, clothes and shoes, gently used. It doesn't have to be new. We already have the food and the toys and stuff to give away, but it's for 6 to 18-year-olds. And it's roughly about 160 kids in Marino Court. So August 8th, and it's on my page, Tara Lewis, on my Facebook page, and also on my nonprofit page. So if you guys have any gently used clothes or shoes, any school supplies, backpacks, we appreciate it, and we will take it all.
Mm-hmm. We thank
y'all
you.
will see me as a guest soon on here.
She will. We will. And thank you again for what you do. Definitely, we'll be talking about that too off air. Yeah. We need more of that for real in our communities.
And it's a part of mental health too.
Yes.
A lot of people struggle in this stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on in our communities, especially in the areas that we live in. I know one of the biggest things is we have a huge gentrification issue going on right now, and it's very important for people like you to line the work you do with getting your credit together, man. And it's hard. It's easier said than done for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Especially for people who have children and other things like that. But it's definitely important for the way things are shifting right now. So we definitely got to get into it. So like I said, man, y'all know we was talking about mental health. First, though, before we tap on that, I want to talk about this whole thing with JT and Lil Uzi Vert. A lot of the videos, it's crazy. A lot of the videos, man, he be looking like a abused child now ever since. You know what I'm saying? Did you see the video when she took his glasses off and he was like, help. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all know it or not, but at the BET Awards, which was more like the damn Source Awards, seemed like. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I guess Tyler Perry was like, the hell with y'all. I did my part. Yeah, JT, I guess, felt some type of way about something that Lil Uzi done, and she threw her phone at his face. My issue with it was the double standards. And I'll let each one of y'all tell us would you react? I know how you would have reacted. So how do you feel about it?
I don't think I would have reacted there at that place. It's a time and a place for everything. And it just looked real ghetto.
Yeah.
It just looked real ghetto. Like, girl, you could have held your peace until y'all got from in front of a crowd of people.
Yeah.
That was just too much.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a black award show.
Yeah.
Y'all embarrassed us. It was just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have did that in public like that.
Yeah.
Okay, at the award show.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
yeah. I get you. Because I did see a lot of people saying how they would have, waited to after to react or whatever. What about you, Camelia? How you feel about it?
Yeah, it's just people just don't have the values that they used to. You know what I'm saying? And respect for themselves. So yeah, I would have waited until I got home if I was gonna say anything, because you have to have respect for your partner and yourself. You
Right.
just can't be going off like that. Or,
Yeah,
Yeah, I just would have waited.
Yeah.
Anything.
yeah,
And he didn't even know what he did.
yeah. I guess I'm from what people were saying that he was flirting with Ice Spice.
Oh, okay.
Girl with the Down syndrome.
Okay.
Don't do that.
With the what?
With the Down syndrome.
I can't. Don't do that.
I got it, but she like she do. But I think that's what it was. But they was talking about it's because she lost her seat or something.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, no. And then
Yeah.
y'all are celebrities.
yeah.
Y'all
I would think they had
carry a
assigned
certain-
seats. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's just bad. And then that goes into like the topic tonight of mental health and a lot of things that people have to go through. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of things that he had to decompress within himself, to not react how most men, because you see, if it was a man on the other foot acting like that, it would have been a totally different reaction, So, we got to work on that. Speaking of mental health, man, as y'all know, I haven't been on here the last couple weeks because I had to get my mental together. It's I don't know if I'm in my early 30s now. Damn.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
And I don't know. I kind of felt like, they say when you're going through like a midlife crisis or something, it's like you tell yourself, don't compare yourself to what's going on around you. But it's like sometimes you have no choice but to compare yourself when you feel like you're supposed to be somewhere else. One thing I had to realize about myself was that I was more so focused on what could go wrong instead of what could go right. And I had to tell myself, like, you got to stop thinking like that. Really, it was really cool. Shout out to DeQuincy when he taught us the 369 method. And I don't know if y'all know about the 369 method. So 369 method is basically you tell yourself 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the evening, and 9 times at night who you are, speaking to existence. So when I do mine, I say I am a rich and wealthy spiritual leader and educator with a top-selling candle business and a top-ranking podcast. And I tell myself that 3 times in the morning, 6 times at night, and 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the evening, 9 times at night. And I write it down too, and speak it out loud. And I think that's what we do as a community. We have to learn how to not only to speak kind to others, but start speaking kind to ourselves. And I remember a couple years ago when during COVID, I kind of went through my depression stage or whatever. And I told myself I love myself, and it was weird. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to think about it. Why is it weird for me to tell myself I love myself? And how you love yourself, it reflects in the things that you allow to happen. And so I had to take accountability for a lot of things that I felt like I was old and I didn't get, because ain't nobody gonna save you, for real, So I feel like now I try to push it all the time about how important it is, especially for Black men. A lot of times, for a lot of us, we feel like we don't have safe spaces to talk about stuff like this. And that's another reason why I created this platform. So we can all have a safe space to have these type of conversations on, what we've been dealing with mentally. So I know for all of us, I definitely want to get on you, Brandon. You just beat cancer. Praise God for my blessings flow with that, man. So like during your, how long were you dealing with that?
Well, it was obviously a long time because I had stage 3 cancer. And at least in my mind, like to get that far, it takes a while, right? I mean, I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but it seems to me that I had been dealing with it for a while because I was experiencing pain. And I had such a fear of going to the doctor that if I as long as I didn't acknowledge it, it wasn't there. And so I had been experiencing pain around, like on the side where my liver is. And I was an alcoholic. So I thought it was, maybe I was drinking too much, because it causes pain when you drink too much. So I just thought it was that. But the pain got so bad I couldn't use the bathroom. Still afraid to go. I was in pain for almost, I say, a year straight. And I just dealt with it. I couldn't sleep at nighttime. And when you have a partner, you can't sleep, it kind of pisses them off. So I had to go sleep in the living room. Just excruciating pain. And then it started burning. It felt like fire inside me. And yet I still didn't go to the doctor. Then one day, my wife, shout out to her, because I feel like she saved my life. She made a doctor's appointment. And she said, "You're going." First thing they did was run blood work. And the blood work, the very next day after I did the blood work, my doctor called me and said, "You need to get to the hospital right now." She said that my hemoglobin was 5. It should be somewhere around 13. That's normal. She said I could be having a heart attack or a stroke because it's so low. I went to the doctor, or emergency room, and they running all these tests, checking to see if I'm passing blood, which I wasn't. But then they did the MRI and then the ultrasound and all these other things. And I'm laying there and just in fear of the unknown. And all these doctors come in, gastrointestinal, oncology, all these doctors. And I'm like, oh my goodness, something must be wrong. And the doctor said they found a lesion. I was like, oh, okay. And what's a lesion? I didn't think that was cancer, but that's their way of saying, a tumor. And they said it was, looks like it was pancreatic cancer. Well, I didn't know much about cancer, but what I did know was pancreatic cancer is the worst kind of cancer you can ever have, because it's just so aggressive. But they scheduled me for outpatient endoscopy. That's where they take a tube with a camera and go down through your esophagus and check out all the stuff on the inside. They found polyps. They had a needle inside the telescopic thing. It poked the, hope I'm not grossing you out, but it poked the polyp, and they took that and sent it off to get pathology on it. I was freaking out about that, of the unknown, right? And I got a call one evening, and it was the doctor, and he said, from that biopsy, I think that's what it's called, they said it was precancerous. And I was like, okay, precancer, that's cool. I can deal with that. That means it's not cancer. And he was like, no. He said, we don't know what's on the other side of that, because the endoscopy scope, can only go so far. So he referred me to this specialist, Dr. Villegas. Shout out to him. I mean, that man saved my life. But he brought me in the room, and he said, it looks like you have cancer. And I just immediately started crying, trying to hold it in as much as I could to be strong, right, for my family, my sons. And anyway, I'm trying to get to the end point, but they ended up saying we're gonna go in. They didn't know if it was actually pancreatic cancer. It was just so close to my pancreas. So they did this surgery. It's called Whipple surgery. It's where they cut out half of my pancreas, take out my gallbladder, appendix, and it's just stuff I don't need. Reroute my intestines. He goes in, and of course I didn't know what was going on. I was asleep. But he told my wife he couldn't get the tumor out. And that he's never, in his 30 years of practice, never seen a tumor like this. It was hard, and he couldn't get it out. Generally, cancer is soft. So anyway, he got it out, and everything just was weird, because I wake up, never been under anesthesia drugs before, and so I'm feeling weird. This is just a weird feeling. Start having suicidal thoughts. Come to find out, those drugs can cause that. And anyway, going back a little further, when I started dealing with this, the first thing I did was ask for a counselor, a therapist. And somebody was working on my behalf because there was a waiting list. And it was my wife, matter of fact, actually. She told her counselor to tell the administrative people to get me a counselor. Mm-hmm. So they bumped me up on the list some kind of way. And so I have this counselor, and I've been dealing. But mentally, I was in a bad place because I felt like I was gone. And I felt so empty. I felt unresolved, that there was a lot of things that I still needed to accomplish. My family, I'm leaving them, without the breadwinner in the house. Leaving my wife, who I just married. I've only been married for 4 years, at the time 3, together 5. And so I'm leaving her without a husband. All these things going through my mind. I called my pastor. I planned out my whole funeral. And I still was in this bad place. I was in the hospital after they did the surgery. And my doctor said, you're going to have to do chemo. And I was like, why I got to do chemo? I thought, And because my doctor was a foreigner, there was a barrier in my understanding. Not on him, but me. I just couldn't understand because he had such an accent. And I didn't understand what was going on. And, my wife, she was like, just talk to him. Because I still was thinking I was dying, right? And I every time he left me in the hospital, he would always say, keep your head up and stuff like that. And I did know, I did recognize his words saying that. But I didn't feel like everything was going to be all right. And so I just asked him one day, before he left, I said, Dr. Viegas, I said, what do you mean everything's going to be all right? I have to do chemo and all that. He said, you don't understand. We got the cancer out. You're just doing chemo as a precautionary measure.
Come back, yeah.
He said, I got it all out. I took the, what you call those, lymph nodes out and everything. And so fast forward to about 3 weeks ago, I did my last treatment, chemo treatment. And I went live on Facebook and, ringing the bell, that's like the tradition when you come out for the treatments. And I rang the bell so hard that it broke. Go to my Facebook page and see, it actually broke. And, my son, he was like, when I got home, he's like, Dad, they're going to make you pay for that bill. I said, son, as much money as my insurance company has paid them people, we've paid for that bill several times. So anyway, sorry to be lengthy, but I just want to be detailed to let my journey so that when we talk about mental health, you can understand the context. Mental health is really important because when my mind was dying, my body was dying. But when I got my mind right, my body started to live. I really believe that. I believe like when people are on their deathbed, the reason why they die and they give up fighting is because resting looks a lot more pleasant than to be in this world suffering. But I will say this because I want to give the whole story. Cancer changed my life for the good, for the better. I was struggling with alcoholism for 15 plus years. Can't even remember. So much a part of my life, I didn't even realize I had a problem. Being a professional musician, it was just kind of a part of my life. I thought it was normal to wake up and grab a couple of shots of vodka. I thought it was normal throughout the day to continue to get that buzz, right? And I would have still been drinking to this day had I not had cancer. And the reason why I stopped drinking is because my doctor said you can never drink again. He said because alcohol is one of the leading causes of many cancers, not just one particular cancer. It is many causes, and so I was like, well, I need something to help me cope with and stuff. And so they introduced me to this wonderful plant called marijuana. And I'm proud to say that I'm a medical marijuana patient. And I'm being serious. On it because I don't take not one pill, I take one pill on a constant basis. All them other pills that they gave me, when I looked at the side effects and how it was making me feel, I was like, man, let me try this marijuana, and it did. Like nausea, like they gave me like 2 types of medicine, Zofran and Compazine. And yeah, you're right. But then, you know, I take my marijuana and it knocks out the nausea. You know, I didn't have an appetite, but you know, I have weed. It can I say weed on here?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, have that. And so I am a proponent of marijuana when it comes even to mental health. Because the mental health drugs that they prescribe, they cause so much problems.
Yeah.
You know, Prozac, for example, you know, you take that, it's almost like it's hard to get off of it. Because when you do come off of it, it makes you feel, you know, really depressed.
Yeah.
I deal with anxiety and PTSD. And so, you know, that's all before the cancer, right? So, you know, I have all these things going on. And so anyway, I'm going to stop talking, let somebody else talk. But I just want to tell my story. And mental health is very important. Don't be afraid, especially to you Christian people. It takes more than just going to church and praying away. You know, your pastor probably has a couple of degrees, but it may not be in mental health, right? You know, a lot of times, you know, of course, they do have pastoral counseling classes, and I respect all that, but I'm a proponent of you going and actually getting a therapist, a clinical licensed therapist. I'm a proponent of that. You know, generally, your pastor knows you and knows something about your business, so there's a little bias there. I think you need to go speak to someone neutral who doesn't know, you know, and frankly, I think sometimes pastors use our counseling as opportunity to control, you know, their congregation, you know, such as, you know, I'm having money problems. Well, you need to give more, you know. So, but anyway, I guess that's another show. But thank you for letting me tell my story.
Thank you for telling your story, man. It's good that you pointed out the side effects of a lot of those medications. I was just reading up on the fact that Xanax causes dementia. Yeah, and I think that's just a community as a whole. I remember being in the military, and we were always be injected with all kind of stuff. We never questioned.
And you didn't know what it was.
You didn't know what it was. We never questioned what it was. And then you go back now, and it's crazy because I ask people all the time, especially older people. I can sit up and talk to older people all day. And one of the things that a lot of old people say is that we never had cancer. You never heard about cancer when we was kids like that. But now you hear about it all the time, you know. So obviously it's something that's, I'm pretty sure we all know it's something not fun. I'm pretty sure y'all saw the whole situation with them making the fake meat now, which they've been doing that. You know, it's just now that people are going to do their own research. You have no choice but to tell us what's going on now. But it's very important that we start doing research on things that we are injecting or eating, you know, putting in our bodies, because I hate the fact that people feel like they have to do something. Even with this COVID and the vaccine thing, people was feeling some type of way. I feel like COVID divided a lot of families as well, because you had certain family members who'd be like, you can't come up if you ain't vaccinated, you know? So, you know, I'm big on it's your body, your choice. We had the same conversation when we talked about abortion. It's your choice, you know, but it's definitely, though, people, man, don't let these people tell y'all what to put in y'all bodies and you don't know what the hell you put in your body. You know, I know, and thank you for your story, man. Thank you for that. Because it's good to see where you at now. You back to business. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure that was a lot of motivation for you to, you know, really pump up your business, man. So I really appreciate you for that. And I know, Camelia, with you, I know you see a lot of things, especially dealing with yoga and even being a counselor in school. Like, what is one of the biggest things that, the school that you were at, it was a predominantly black school, right? Yeah. So, yeah, what is one thing that, when it comes to mental health with children, that you saw a lot of?
Well, a lot of it, like you said, was COVID. A lot of children, you know, they had to be in the house with the other children while the parents were at work, so they pretty much had to become parents or adults before they're 7. A lot of them, you know. So, just dealing with that and going back into like a more clinical part of counseling, because I'm about to go to live year work. I'm leaving the district after 15 years. they talk about little T traumas and big T traumas. So the little T traumas are more so when, children are going through maybe neglect, abandonment, things that we may not look at as it seems like it'll be such a big deal, but it is, witnessing domestic violence in the home, watching your mama or daddy go to prison, hearing shots at night, they go through all that. They come and tell me all of that, so God, I'm gonna miss my baby so much, I'm gonna miss them because they felt comfortable talking to me. But yeah, they go through it. They go through a lot. So just letting them know that that pretty much what they go through is not their fault, and that we want them to be, we as parents, we want them to be better than us. You know what I'm saying? Grow up and do better than what your mama did. Not to say that your mama is something wrong with your mama, that she's wrong. She's doing the best she can. Your grandma, whoever, is doing the best that they can. But you grow up and you do what you can to be better than them. You know what I'm saying? I taught them, love yourself, love each other. My biggest thing was to treat others the way you want to be treated. But it was nice to be in a place where the children felt good talking to me. If they know that you love them, they're gonna feel comfortable opening up, and not judge. You don't judge them. You don't put them down for whatever they're doing and stuff like that. And that's and people in general. I'm gonna skip past my babies and go back to just be. One thing, the main thing is that you have to be aware. You know what I'm saying? You have to be aware. Because if you're in a place where you're in denial or you feel like there's nothing, you don't have any issues or, you can't be helped. You know what I'm saying? So it's, shout out to you again. I'm glad that you are aware and that you understand that there's nothing wrong with going to a counselor. I was going to a counselor, and once I started my view, I'm going to go to another counselor. Because we all need somebody to talk to. And being a counselor, most people come to me, they talk to me about everything. I can talk to Jen about stuff, so I have a few people that I can talk to, but it's so important to have someone that you can talk to about what you have going on that won't judge you or have any biases. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
I gotta plug myself in there too because I got a few events coming up. But if you want me to, I do that.
Yeah, we could do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, as a counselor, right, and you have all these people that come to you with their issues, I'm pretty sure it gets to a point where that gets heavy for you too. So how do you get all of that off of you?
Well, I make sure that I do my yoga. I meditate. Sometimes I meditate in my sleep. Yeah, there's something I listen to on YouTube. The next generation of radio. I make sure I get my me time. Even though I have them, I wouldn't have it any other way. But I make sure I get my time in as well. If you missed out on Midday Live with your boy, singing bowls.
Yeah. She did it for us on the beach one time. It was real cool. I felt like one of them white people in the, you know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, we're in Cali. You know what I'm saying? It was real cool. Yeah, see?
He be real deal meditating.
Yeah, she got him.
Real,
yeah, so definitely.
I've never seen someone meditate so hard like Omarion.
And the thing about it is, like, people be like, I can't meditate. I'm always thinking. But if you're not thinking, you dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just get to a place where you may start out for a minute or a few seconds a day where you just take the time and you sit in silence. Or even if you're washing the dishes, you can meditate washing the dishes. Just don't focus on anything else. If I gotta go cook, I gotta go wash clothes.
So like daydream. Try to daydream. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
Because I get lost in thought. Like,
stay in the here and now. Stay in the present moment. Right. Whatever you're working on right now, whatever you're doing at that time, that's what you're doing. If you just laying there, focus on your breath and what you feel in your body.
So breath control. Breath control is a part of meditation.
Oh yeah.
I see this, the meditation thing. I'm of course I took some of Camelia classes in meditation. I think a lot. So I have to gain discipline. It's either between gaining discipline or what you thinking or nigga don't fall asleep. Right. So so
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it do, even controlling the breathing. But one thing, when we did the challenge, that's when I first was introduced to even doing yoga. I never was really interested in it. And because I really didn't know many colors did it. And then I started seeing a lot of people, especially when I started my spiritual journey. It makes you be exposed to so many different people, and so it makes me more open to it. And I recommend it to everybody to at least try it once, And it's a lot, especially if you're not flexible. That was my biggest thing. I think was not being flexible and trying to concentrate on your breathing. It's like, bro, my back hurt. You know what I'm saying? But your posture is very important, period, on multiple levels. Right. So with you, I know we had a conversation before a couple shows ago when we had outside, we got a little deep on, some things that you go through. So when you get into a space of feeling like you're back against the wall, like how do you calm yourself down?
The gym. I work out a lot now.
Yeah.
A lot.
See, I need to get into that, man. I think it's because I work so long during the day, and this is why I said I'm about to stop doing this whole thing. With working 12-hour shifts. Because being a black man, they always tell you got to work hard. You got to work hard.
You did that in the military, so why would you do it again?
I did, yeah. And then too, I feel like, why am I working so hard to make somebody else rich? Mm-hmm. Like, and I could be doing this for myself.
Because I'm not.
Yeah,
It's done.
Yeah, so that's why I'm transitioning out of that mode of, being more self-dependent on, my own resources and what could I do for my community and for myself. And that's very important. And even with that though, that it could be mentally draining. Just me running this show, it could be draining sometimes, of having to give your attention. And I'm an empath. Like I can go in the room and I could pick up on everybody's energy, so that's why I used to a lot of times I used to go on the little social media hiatus where I just get off social media for 30 days. And because when you get on social media, you just see negative stuff all the time. And the thing is, this is everywhere. It's not just a Pensacola thing. This is everywhere you go, you're going to run into it. But now I'm looking into therapy. Yeah, and I think my biggest thing, really, I think not only just childhood traumas does, because I was a latchkey kid, so I had to kind of grow up early. I got my first job when I was 13, and I've worked every year since I was 13 years old. And so for me, I didn't really have the opportunity to like get into sports, get into stuff. It was about, my mom was a single mom, my dad, he was there, but my dad was in the streets, so my dad went to prison I missed out on that for 14 years, so. For me, it was just like, you got to get it how you live. So I had to work, So that not being able to enjoy a childhood and be a child for real, for the most part, I always had to be the grown one. Since I was a kid, people was calling me Uncle Gent. You know what I'm saying? Like older people be like, Uncle Gent. You know what I'm saying? And it made me feel old. Yeah. That's probably why I got this damn gray hair now. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all put that shit on me. But I had to do it. And now I'm realizing, and like I said too, that goes into mental health with men. We don't have many spaces to express ourselves because not only are we judged by white America, we are also judged by our own communities because they expect for us to walk a certain type of way, talk a certain type of way, be in a certain type of things, to be classified as a man. And so, I had to, that's a lot of pressure on us, so I had to, after a while, when you continue to sweep things under the rug, eventually you're going to trip over that hump. And so I had to realize I'm going to have to face what's going on up under this rug and go ahead and do something about it because I can't complain about it. My dad always told me, don't complain or talk about nothing if you ain't willing to help it. So I had to realize I had to help myself. And I try to encourage people all the time, man, like allow yourself, when people go through something, and even with grief, when somebody die, somebody transition, and you'll tell me, it's going to be all right. You have to allow people to feel, you have to feel what you're going through. Right. And go through the stages, especially when it comes to making life choices or allowing somebody doing something to you, whether it be relationships, personal things. You have to allow yourself to feel what you're going through so you will know not to repeat it again, not to go through this again. So I had to allow myself to finally realize, like, okay, well, that did make me feel some type of way. And you would think all the time, I hate when you would talk to somebody, they'd be like, oh, well, I'm over this now. A healing process never ends. Like, you learn how to cope with stuff, but it could take 10, 15 years down the line, and somebody could trigger something in you to bring out, and be like the old me. It could be something, And that's another thing too. I want to point out is stay away from. That's one thing I had a problem with for a long time. Staying away from my triggers. And a lot of times your triggers come from the people you love the most. And I had to realize my one thing my family know about me. I will stop talking to your ass. like especially if I know I ain't do nothing to you, we have to start. Yeah, you got to start holding people accountable. Yeah, you got to cut them off because you'll see in relationships all the time a child and a parent do something to a child or do something to a young adult, and the grandmama, the auntie say, "Well, that's your daddy, or that's your mama."
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you have to hold people because of how you treat people, they're gonna hold you accountable for how you treat them. So you have to hold people accountable for how they treat you and realize that, okay, well, you saying, well, that's my dad, but what about me? What about how this is making me feel and the things, and like you said earlier about suicidal thoughts, you just never know. I've had so many conversations with people, man, and they're commenting, one time I thought about killing myself. And even when I was going through what I was going through, I never wanted to kill myself. But there were times when I was in the military, that's what made me realize I wanted to get the hell out the damn military, is that I was like, man, if something was to happen, I wouldn't even fucking care. When I started thinking like that, I was like, oh, it's time to go. Yeah, because for black people, we are encouraged to go into the military a lot. It's been the black community, either they encourage you to play sports, be a rapper, or go into the military, go into the service. And a lot of people who haven't had that experience do not understand how mentally trying that is to go into the military.
That's what started my
being black. Yeah, man, I'll never forget, man. And we thought this was norm. Being from Florida, my great grandma was from Birmingham, and she used to tell us stories all the time what the Klan used to do. She was born in the 1920s, so she would tell us how the Klan would hang somebody on her street, or she would tell us like different stuff that was going on, but she never taught us to hate. No matter what. Now, she was not big on interracial dating. Now, she didn't play that, but she never taught us to hate. She always say, you love, but you don't never trust them. Mm-hmm. But you learn from them, and you still love them regardless. So for me, when I went into the military, I never forget my drill instructor, who was the meanest. He was my favorite. He pulled us to the back. He pulled all the black Marines to the back, and he basically told us, like, it's going to come a time where your skin color is going to play a part in how they treat you. And we were young, 18, 19 years old. For a lot of us, we never really experienced it. And I only think we didn't experience it. We didn't know how to recognize it because our parents never taught us. Because we grew up with nothing but white teachers. I'm pretty sure plenty of times they made comments that we didn't understand what was going on. And then I went to my MOS school, the School of Infantry in North Carolina. And there was a bulletin on the wall in the barracks that we stayed in that had areas that we couldn't go in because of white supremacist group. This was in 2010. So, of course, I'm like, we looking like, bro, this shit real. Like, people are still, we thinking, oh, the civil rights movement, they were just doing that back then. But that stuff was really still going on. And so for a lot of us, I remember we used to go to chow, and the white drill instructors would be like, we ain't got no chicken. We ain't got no watermelon. And this is not something that just happened one time. This was throughout my whole career of being in the Marines. Yeah, like they would make these comments. So, of course, my last 2 years there, I was like, hell no. So, of course, they would try to label me as, you always want to be combative. No, y'all not about to handle me. Like y'all not about to, the whole chicken and jokes about, oh, I bet your grandma got a tiger in the backyard. But you trying to say my grandma from Africa? So they would try to make like little jokes like that, man. And a lot of people didn't stand up for themselves. But fortunately, I was with, shout out to my brothers who I'm still cool in the military. A lot of us just was like, man, we had enough. We just gonna leave. Because with a system like that, you can't really change it. Even when you complain about it, let me tell you, they work together. So, and they do that now. You see it on the jobs, and I realized that a lot of us who were we all had stuff going on mentally. So now we have a group on social media. For the last 2 years, we always do at least once a month. We tap in with each other in the group, like how everybody doing mentally, because it's important, especially as Black people, because we don't only hold our own the weight from just the experience that we go through personally, but we inherit a lot of trauma from our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, even people we've never met before, because now they teaching their kids to act like that. They teaching their kids to act like that. And that becomes your grandmama. So your grandma, you never knew. Well, grandma always taught us this, not realizing it was toxic. And a lot of it, like we said, like we kind of touched on, a lot of it, I hate to put it out like this, but religion does play a lot into a lot of the traumas that, we was always taught to turn the other cheek. Or you don't question God. But you can't tell me to love somebody and not try to understand. How can I love somebody and not understand our relationship? So it encouraged me. My spiritual journey helped too a lot with me mentally. I encourage that with everybody. Be open spiritually. I feel like when you put God in a box and think that there's only one way to connect with God, you don't know God like you say you do. It's so many different people with different backgrounds here. It's no way that just one walk is going to be your connection with God. So definitely.
So speaking of that, I seen a TikTok recently, and I think it was an Islam sitting next to some other religion. And a guy asked him, how are y'all able to get along or whatever. He said, well, my religion, they taught us 7 + 0 = 7. His religion taught him 5 + 2 = 7. Their religion taught them 6 + 1 = 7. He was like, we so busy fighting on how to get to the answer, not realizing we all got
the same answer. It's the same answer.
It's the same answer.
Yeah. So, and I tell people too, when the God is God of many names. And so you have to accept the fact that, you get into, especially when I started dabbing in, researching more onto Afro spirituality, people will come to me and be like, you don't believe in God no more. And I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? The people I've met on this path are some of the most godliest people I've ever met before. You know what I'm saying? They put into the community. They ain't just sitting. And now let me say this now. Let me put this disclaimer out. Let me tell you got bullshitters everywhere you go.
Right.
Everywhere you go, okay?
In the church,
everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere you go. But I met some of the most realest people when it comes to connecting with God that I've ever met on this path. And it helped me mentally by being surrounded by people who always, who all have the intentions to do the same thing. Not only work on ourselves, but build each other as a community. And that's what we need to do with each other. Start, especially black men. One thing, man, you can't even speak to another black man without, some black men feeling like I ain't gonna speak back. The hell real niggas don't speak thing. But like, why? You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of women who do this whole I ain't friendly, but why? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, not saying I gotta be your best friend, but at the same time, it's no reason for me to stink towards you either. I feel like I've been through enough and God has showed me over and over what he could do for me. It's no point for me to be nasty towards you. And two, I don't know what you going on for me to be, you know what I'm saying? Because it could take me just saying one and the wrong thing to you that can, and even with the situation that's everybody's seen the situation with the boy hitting the lady. Huh? The boy punched the mother. And the son came back and killed him. And I always look at stuff on both sides. Not saying that one was like he was right for hitting the lady, of course. But at the same time, I always look at it to where we never know what he was going through mentally to make him act like that. You know what I'm saying? And look at the consequences. Yeah, because you go into a lot of them big cities, them women be hard as hell, So I just kind of think you got to be careful.
About? Does anybody know?
So I could believe that though. Yeah, I could believe that. I don't know what they were arguing about. Yeah, and you see how that
And she reposted him. Yeah, talking about long.
Yeah, I saw that. And he was one knocked out. Yeah.
And he said something about her granny. Somebody said, well, you just went and met the granny.
Yeah, they were low down for that, man. Yeah, definitely though. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say, Gentris, I admire you for having the fortitude to go against the grain when it comes to religion. Traditionally in our community, in America, we lean towards Christianity. Mm-hmm. And I'm a thinker. I try my best to be open-minded as possible. Of course, I do have my biases because I think we all do. That's how we're kind of wired. We're a product of how we were taught.
Right.
But I admire you because often I look at the Chinese God, and the Chinese God looked like the Chinese person. Mm-hmm. I looked at the Indian gods, and the Indian gods look, similar. And everybody's gods, every ethnicity looks like them except the Black American. And so, you know, and then, you know, we will have a picture of Jesus. Growing up, I don't know if y'all had this, but there was always a picture of Jesus in the house. JFK and Martin Luther King.
Or Last Supper.
Last Supper.
You know, I thought they were brothers or something. You know, I didn't realize, you know, one was our Savior, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to paint the wrong picture. I am a Christian. However, I'm an open-minded Christian. I like the values of Christianity, but I'm teaching my sons to have an open mind, and whatever path they choose, I'm gonna be okay with it. You know, I think we are a product of, you know, if we were born in certain places, we might have been Muslim, right? Or if we've been, you know, other places, we might be Hindu.
Right.
So we're a product of our culture, and I just want to give you kudos for going against the grain. You know, I see you and your crew. And I'm just amazed that you okay and open about it. And I want to say, keep that up, brother.
Appreciate it.
Because we need that. You know, we do. I would love to have as we were talking off the air, how you were going to do the show. You know, I don't want to tell too much of it. But I would love to have like different people from different religious persuasions, you know, and talk, not in an argument, but have an open conversation so that we can liberate people thinking. Religion can be very dangerous.
Yes.
It can cause impulses. You know, one thing that I learned is, you know, when you start telling your therapist you hear voices, that leads to well, what's really going on?
Right.
But yet we hear the voice of God.
Come on.
So, you know,
Boy. He done said a word.
So you know, how do we deal with that?
Right,
you
right.
know? So, and I think we need to have that conversation.
Yes.
And with the pastors too.
Yeah.
You know, I really do want to have a conversation with the Black pastors because I think, and there's no shame on any pastors out there. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to call you out, but it's time to have a conversation. Are you in the business to doing ministry, like real ministry, or are you in the business to just have a church? A church. You know, and the church is a business, you know, and don't get me wrong. I know it takes finances and things like that, but it's about the motive behind it. You know, I can remember growing up and the church was so involved in our lives. You know, the pastor was everything to us. He was our politician, our lawyer, you know, and all this other stuff, mental health counselor, you know, and there's ministry involved, right? But now you can't get pastors to go visit their members in the hospital. Yeah. You know, they send their deacons.
They start sick and shut in leave.
Yeah, and there's all these other things. And I want to keep saying it because I know people are watching, and, you know, I'm in church. I play at church. I don't want you to think I'm coming down on on the church. It's not that. But I think it's time to be honest. Yeah. Really be honest. Because I want to ask the pastors many times, you know, because they're always teaching this, you know, believe. I'm going to say, do you believe? Do you really believe that the earth was flooded and there was this boat, right? And the animals came 2 by 2, and then, you know, the other insects came, you know, like 6 or 7, I can't remember the number, you know, all these things. And the world was savaged by this one family that built this ark, and it was replenished. Like, I really want to know, do you really believe that? Like, do you really believe that? Because I want to know, because if you tell me, because this is what I don't want to hear. Yeah, I believe it, you know, and not have, you know, an honest conversation. I want to know why you believe it and help me understand your viewpoint on it, you know, because I often I was told, you know, don't question God, just believe. But I wouldn't have gotten where I am right now if I didn't ask questions. Right. So I implore people to ask questions, and I want to have this conversation. I do, because I think there's healing that needs to be had. I agree. You know, on the pastor, because, you know, we need to check and see if they all right. We need to do a mental health check-in with them. True. You know, are you all right? You know, and because it would make me feel so much better if the pastor said, you know what, it's really hard for me to believe that the world was saved by one family, and the whole world was flooded. It's hard for me to believe that because this same story occurred much earlier than Christianity in I think it's the Sumerian text. And it was called the Epic of Gilgamesh. And the Epic of Gilgamesh has this same story. And so could it be possible that it was just borrowed? It's okay. If those stories are not true, I'm still okay with that. So let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Because you can learn from stories.
You can.
Right?
Right.
Especially in our community.
Right.
I don't know if y'all had mamas and grandmamas that always had a story and it meant something else, and they had these sayings.
Yeah.
And it got us through.
Yeah.
And to this day I still say some of these things. And did it really happen?
Yeah.
But anyway, I thank you for being open and explorative, and just being okay with it.
Appreciate it, man.
I think more people need to be like that.
Yeah, it was definitely not the easiest experience because of how I grew up. I grew up Southern Baptist, and of course, people was going around and say, "Oh, he do voodoo, he a witch," And I had to, a lot of times you catch yourself trying to defend yourself, and now I don't do that no more. It all shows in your walk. Right. Okay. And that's why I'm so open about it too, to show people that what you think about it ain't necessarily true. But in anything that you do, it could be bad in anything that you do. And I remember growing up in church, man, Deacon Moy told me I had to be about 13. We was at a funeral, I think, and I was walking on the side of the church with him, and he said, we was talking about something, and he said, I'm not a Christian, I'm Christ-like. He said, Jesus wasn't even a Christian, so why would I be a Christian? The goal is to be like Christ. That stuck with me for a long time because now I understand. The thing is, religion causes division, but we all are spiritual beings. That's what we need to pay attention to, is the spirit. If you got a good spirit, I don't care how you look. If you got a good spirit, I can work with your spirit because you got a good spirit. Your intentions are set to be pure. It doesn't matter what you worship, how you worship, because if it's working for you, it's working for you. And I think that comes. I see that it's a major problem in the Black community when it comes to people doing something a little different. But you can go to get your nails done from Connie Chong them, who have a whole ancestor altar and got Buddha sitting up right behind you.
In every nail shop.
And you'll be okay with that. And then you could go to church and you could let the pastor put blessed oil on you, which is hoodoo. Put blessed oil on you. You could go and let them and get baptized, which is a spiritual bath, which is hoodoo. You can sit with your grandmama, who all the women got on white sitting up. That comes from African spirituality, and deny it. And that shows that people are in the church and don't even know what the church is. People are in the church, and then even with reading the Bible, they say you got to study and know God for yourself. You can't just look at that book. You have to go and get a dictionary. Certain words meant certain different things back in the day. And let's not and understand that a book was translated so many different times. There are books. You can go and get a book from down the street in America, and you can go to Puerto Rico and get a Bible, and you will have different books in that Bible.
More chapters. Okay? Why are chapters missing in ours? What are we missing?
Yeah. So you have to question that. I always tell people all the time, man. And I had a debate with one of my cousins. He's one of those Bible thumpers. And I asked him that question. I was like, why don't you go? And he said, well, God tells us not to go too deep into things because we'll be exposed to certain things. So you would rather sit under a God that don't want you to know shit, and you still gonna say, I love you. I want this. Because you even got in church that people don't even know there's a difference between the energy of Jesus and God. People think, you be like, dang, y'all forget about the God? You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus this, Jesus that. But what about God? Right. Those are two different energies. So for me, when I started my journey, I did what worked for me. I feel like you could be all of them. You could be all of them. Who's to say I have to be this? You know what I'm saying? You could be all. I feel like even, and I'm gonna say this, sometimes people feel like the Israelites are very radical. But when I sat and had a conversation with the Israelites for myself, they had a lot of good points. You know, if we all just sit down and have a conversation with each other before we condemn each other for what we do, you would be way more understanding of each other. I love having different conversations. I love even sitting down with white people and asking them. And one thing I realized about white people, I don't even get mad at them no more because I realize y'all are ignorant of who we are. That's why y'all acting the way that y'all do. And y'all don't even know who the hell y'all are. Because for you to tell somebody to go back where you from and your people ain't even from here, that's crazy as hell to me. You know what I'm saying? Like and then if you look at the government and how things are set up now, we all in this rat race together for real, for real. That shit don't even have nothing to do with color. Just because financially you might be better and you feel like you got the upper leg financially, but that don't have nothing to do with it because like we saw when COVID hit, all people was dying. No matter what color you was. And we even got a little bigger and thought that it couldn't kill black people. And I'll be damned. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it just, I think it comes with just understanding each other better, having the conversations with each other. And regardless of people's personal views on how they connect with God, just sit down. That's me judging you from ignorance. And that making me look like a fool. I don't even understand you to say that what you're doing is wrong. You know, I don't care if you could be a Satanist. I don't care. Because I don't know how you move. But if I sit down and have a conversation, I might be like, well, I see why you move the way that you move, you know? So we have to get through that as a community, man. One thing about the black community, I admire everybody in this room. Everybody in this room has a ministry. This is my ministry. You have a ministry, just to be solutions. You have a ministry, you do every damn thing. She has a ministry. She helping us get this paper. You know what I'm saying? She has a ministry, and which y'all will see these women really, really soon. But we all have our own ministry, and what we might look at it as small. That's one thing we have to get out of our heads. You know, my little business and your friend little small business, that's a big deal. And I had to realize, even with doing my show, man, I used to kind of feel like, well, what people gonna say about this? What people? You have to stop letting regular folk take you off your motherfucking pedestal. You know what I'm saying? People be out here not doing nothing and have so much to say about you.
Behind a computer screen.
Yeah, tapping. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't doing nothing. You know, so we have to get that out of our head. Stop letting social media, stop letting our own, because a lot of times it be our own stuff, you know, bringing us down. Like I said, that's one thing I had to tell myself is like, bro, stop telling yourself this ain't gonna work. And me, I like stuff to be like on point. You know, I'm a classy dude, you know. I like to say a little clichetto, you know. I got a class with a little ghetto sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and sometimes I have to tell myself, you know, it's levels to it, you know. And a lot of things that I went through was because of the lack of financial education that my parents had. And I had to realize that even with them, you know, your mom would tell me, well, go do this, go do that. And it's like, nah, that ain't how things work. But then when I started realizing that for myself, I'd be bringing my mom and I'm like, hey, mom, you need to learn this. Man, I just found out, I don't know if y'all noticed or not, that you could buy a house on Section 8. Yeah, I just found that out, right? And just imagine how many people on Section 8 and they decided to continue to stay in the projects. But it's platforms like this, platforms like Tara have, that we can get this out there to people in our community. Like, man, it's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to like stop letting social media run our lives, our relationships, and stop being the biggest consumers. You know, one thing about the black community, we're the biggest consumers, man. It's time to really like get out there. And like you said, with the chickens, I've been telling people, I saw a little land over in Pritchard, Alabama. I said, man, I could get that land. It was $1,500. And it's for half an acre. And they was like, why you want to go to Pritchard? And I was like, bro, we can get some goats, get some chickens. We all know people that stay over in Alabama. You know, it's the time, like, we have to be more self-sufficient now because they planting our food. Right. You know, so it's time to get into where we could trust. So I think that's real cool, man. We need people getting into agriculture.
It came about because when I got the cancer diagnosis, you know, everything seems to cause cancer. And so, you know, my wife is a big proponent on, you know, not eating out and having our own organic food. I didn't even know what organic was, you know. And she's making me these juices. Like, she made me a juice today. It was watermelon and cabbage. And I'm like, babe, don't tell me what's in it. Just don't tell me what's in it. I'll drink it. But it was actually good. And I don't know what it's for, but she's done her research and all this. And I just think that we have to be more conscientious about our health. And we got to help each other.
Yes.
And come together. I know we've been saying that for the last 400 years probably. But we still struggle with it. And that's the reason why we keep saying come together, because we still have a struggle with it. To something you said about the whole religion thing that I wanted to touch on. I didn't want to escape too far from it, because I think religion needs to be talked about in a healthy way.
Yes.
Because it causes division.
Yes.
You know, it really does. And so, but you said something about the Israelites. You know, the Hebrew Israelites. You know, they're strong and, you know, vibrant and telling, you know, their story. It made me to think how we as a people have an identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know, one time blacks were being Jews, you know, of Jewish faith, right? Judaism, practice Judaism, and then you got the Hebrew, the black nation.
Israelites.
Then you got the black Muslims, and you know, so it's like we have this identity crisis. We don't know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can understand why the Hebrews or the black Hebrews call themselves the chosen people, or what the Bible's talking about.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me because the Bible story was the plot, or excuse me, the setting was in the Middle East. Well,
Right.
what is the Middle East? Well, it's just Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like why don't you just call it Africa? You know, and go back to Kemet. You know, I think that was Egypt, right? Yeah,
Which
And
is in Africa.
which is in Africa, right? You know, and so what I'm trying to say is we really don't know who we are. You know, I can tell you what General Tso's chicken has in it. You know, I can tell you about Jamaican and stuff like that. But what about the black African American? You know, or the African Americans, or whatever we want to call ourselves, the Americans. Who are we?
Mm-hmm. We are. You know, I think because of the history of our people here, because we got our own. You know, we are just as unique as everybody else. Okay, and I think because of our history was erased. Because even with slavery, I was having a conversation today. Everybody family did not encounter slavery. I think that even with our spiritual system, I think more of us were Native Americans than African.
I've heard that ideology.
Yeah, indigenous. You know, because when I do a lot of ancestry work with my family, and when I went back and asked the older people, like, do you know such? Do you know this, or have you heard this? And all of the older people in my family say, we ain't no damn Africans, we Indian.
Well, and you know, and if you talk to us, we always said we got Native Americans.
Yeah, we got
in some
Indian.
kind of way.
We all here, and it was a guy made a joke about it on Facebook. People would get here always say that they Indian, because they are. Yeah. Being they try to. That's what they did. They told us that we are African American to make us feel displaced and make us realize, because even if you go and look at the records of a lot of our people own land, and they came and took it. So if they make you feel like you aren't from somewhere, you're not gonna care about it no more. You get what I'm saying? So once we start doing research and finding out who we are, that's why me and her, we took my godson, her son, and my nephews to the Legacy Museum last weekend.
Amazing, by the way.
Yeah, definitely recommend the Legacy Museum, man. You got to be strong, man, because there was people in there crying and everything.
Museum in
Montgomery. Oh, really?
Oh, so you know the Legacy Museum?
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely go to the Legacy. My nephew's a little freaked out at first.
I was a little freaked out.
Because they never heard nothing about this, and then especially to see it was white people in there, and you have to explain them, and you see the white people standing on the side. So of course they looking like they did this to us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like the white people wasn't trying to make eye contact with nobody.
Oh, they weren't.
Like they were like focused on this one. I'm like,
yeah, because it's.
And I was like, I wonder how they feel like being in here. Like,
yeah, because it's 3. Martin Luther King. I want to go.
I went in there. Oh, you gotta go to that one.
Yeah.
And my mom is white. I don't resonate with my white side. She didn't raise me, so I don't know my white side.
Yeah.
I resonate, my black side. I'm from Montgomery, but when I was in Memphis at the museum, and I walked in and I was just looking at stuff, and then I saw where slaves were sold for like a bag of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I turned around and I saw a white lady, and before I knew it, I just kind of said, "What the fuck you crying?" Because it pissed me off.
Yeah.
So at the time, he was like, "Slave, she might not."
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you do have to, you have to,
Yeah, you gotta.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had to realize not everybody is
Like that.
right.
Because that was my first time when I said, like, what the fuck y'all doing it? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do have, and then let's just be honest, black people, we racist too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're prejudiced.
Prejudice. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone
Yeah.
has prejudice.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely an experience. They had
Even-
3 different sections.
Even against ourselves. okay?
Definitely.
You know, because I have to watch myself. Like I like to walk. That's how I get my exercise. Yeah, I be gone too. Listen, y'all, I lost 130 pounds. Y'all remember?
Yeah.
I was a big old plumpy something. And I feel good being small. I love the small version of me.
Yeah.
Like I'm just,
Yeah.
you know, I go to the beach, take my shirt off.
Yeah.
You know, I got all these cuts, you know, from the surgery, and I'm so proud of it. I'm like, these are my war wounds, you
Yeah.
know, and this is who made me who I am.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that, you know, with the us as a people, we haven't had a chance to get over slavery, even though it was like some long time ago, right? But then, you know, when it started, we've been dealing with it for a long time, right? And, you know, going through the civil rights movement, and, you know, everything's all right. Get over it, right? We haven't had a chance to what we call assimilate into society. You don't believe me? Let me prove it to you. You was in the military. I thank you for your service. But who do you know that's black? I want you to be honest. That has an American flag flown over their house. I'm like, be honest. Do you know of any? And if you do, say that you do.
I don't.
My grandma did. I ain't even gonna lie. And I'm like, Grandma, why?
Yeah, but that's. I want you to be honest. But would you agree that it's not that many? But yet whites have it on the back of their truck. They have all this. So I wrote this article about are blacks patriotic. You should go read it. It's on Medium. Not saying that I'm just, you know, a good writer. Well, I am a good writer. So
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But
Just talk about it.
Yeah.
But I implore you to go read it, and then because I want you to think, you know, are we patriotic? And we're in America. This is our country. But are we really proud to be here? The 4th of July is coming up, right? I think we use it as an opportunity to barbecue.
I agree.
Shoot our pistols up in the air. You know, things like that. But do we really like go out and be like, you know, I'm glad we were free. You know,
I'm glad to be American.
Yeah.
I don't. I think for a lot of us, it's because even now the thing is, Denise said 100. It's only been 150 years. That's not even accurate because it's a documentary on PBS that shows you that slavery did not end until the 1960s in Mississippi. Yeah. It was people still staying on plantations. When I went to the Whitney plantation in Louisiana, there were people still staying on their plantations in 1977. So when we got out of chattel slavery, we still had to be going to survival mode. So it has always been work for us. Right. Now, due to the fact that it's always been work for us, we never had the opportunities to really enjoy nothing. So that is why it's still like it ain't like we are still behind in a lot of things because it's always been survival mode for us. And that's why even when I look at how a lot of people in the young community are when it comes to the killing and the violence, it's like a part of me, I get it. Like I get it. I get it. Because we have, and the thing is, due to the fact that we always had to be raised off survival, every generation is going to get worse and worse. And if people aren't identifying the problems, then how are we going to fix it? I think, too, of course, the media does play a part in it. You know, the things that people see on social media, they feel like we got to live this type of lifestyle to be popular. And that's our fault, too. You know, so I hate the fact that we have to deal with this in America, but the thing is, white supremacy is not just a problem in America. It's a problem all across the world. And
because white people don't like nobody.
Yeah. You know, greed. And the thing is, though, we have to stop being scary. And first, we have to hold our own communities accountable for the shit that we allow in our own communities. One thing City Councilwoman Tenny Day said when she was here last show was that we was talking about something, and she said her aunt told her that you don't leave the house hungry, right? If you don't leave the house hungry, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Now, that meant we were talking about segregation. Because I asked my grandma, she was like, well, we didn't really have to deal with that coming up. But they went to a segregated school. Her whole time in school, she graduated in 61. And I said, well, you did deal with it because y'all used to go to the sit-ins downtown. You went to a segregated school. She said, I didn't go to a segregated school. I went to an all-black school. So for them, that was norm. I honestly think integration was probably one of the worst things we probably could have allowed. And then we talk about the resources in our schools, but then we let people in our schools who don't even look like us teach our children. And so how you think that's going to go? People who do not know who aren't educated on who we are. It was a teacher just, when Quorum was here, they had some type of meeting where they was going to get all the teachers in the Camelia County to get together to see what could they do to help educate black children. And they said only 10% of the white teachers in our county showed up to the meeting. Only 10%. And but the ones who were there were genuinely, they're like, we want to know what can we do? What can we do to help? Because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to interact with our children, So the other ones, they just didn't give a damn. So it's up to us to start teaching our children. That's why I took my nephews and my godson there. Like, it's up to us to start. And you see what DeSantis doing around this motherfucker. Yeah, it's time for us to start teaching them like who we are. And it's not to be like, oh, you a slave, you this. No, I'm gonna show you what you could have been, and you still could be that if you allow the system to take you. Now, and that's one thing about the Legacy Museum, it goes through stages. The first stage, it shows you about slavery. The first stage is through slavery. And it's a cool setup. You go in there and it's in a room and they have like statues of heads of slaves coming out, and it makes you look like you underwater.
You walking through and it's like kids, women,
all on the ground. Like, it's something to see. Then you go through this one part. It's like it's a holograms in different jail cells of the slaves, and the slaves tell like their stories to my kids, everything.
Yeah, you walk up to the window and like the person. You talking about
that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then they have then the second part is lynching, mass lynching. They have dirt collections from all over the South of lynching sites. And two, if you do go, they have these small little rooms where they show you like videos of like people personal experience and stuff like that. One of the ladies, they've been living in California for 100 years, found out that her people was really from Mississippi. Her granddad was lynched and they had to leave the town. Yeah.
They escaped and
he went back and they lynched him and they had to leave town, and they had been in California for 100 years.
And just to throw that out, with dirt, Santa Rosa County is.
They had a lot of dirt samples. Yeah, they had a lot of samples. We had Pensacola got samples, everything. Yeah. And then the last one is mass incarceration. I didn't CJ, but it was so many. It's hundreds of jars.
I'm sure they probably.
Then the last part is mass incarceration, which is now the Malcolm. Yeah, man, I was just watching an interview with a dude. Said that he picked cotton. Did I send you that? I think. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, as a guy said that when he was in prison, and this wasn't too long ago in Texas, he picked cotton, and he said they would get off. They had a horse, and they had him walk on the side of the horse, and if they didn't do it, they would get off the horse with their guns, and like we would kill you, and they would kill you. They did it to people, like, so it's still going on. And I think now we just have to teach our children. It's up to us to teach the children. Like, even if you feel like you lost, at least teach your children like what it could be. It's so much other stuff. I try to take my kids to my nephews to museums, everything. Like, bro, you could be an artist, you could be something, but just don't feel like you have to just be a rapper. Don't feel like you just have to play sports, because they making money off your head doing both. So it's important for us to like push that with our youth and with our community as a whole. Like, open up our resources. Like, it's good that everybody here got their own thing going on. But what you about to say?
Well, I was just going to say, I think what we really need to push for is black people coming together in communities and doing our own thing. Mm-hmm. Not saying that, I'm saying we should just segregate ourselves from everybody. It's not that. Mm-mm. But every species it seems like they take care of their own kind, right?
That's true.
Except the Black American.
Yeah.
You know, I told my business partners at the time, I said, I don't care if you ever tell me that you love me. I would much rather you say I trust you, because we don't trust each other. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna use you for example. What's your name? Tara. Pleased to meet you. You have a credit repair business, right? You're Black. Okay. It might be hard for some people to receive what you got to say to them because, oh, that's coming from a Black person. What does the white person say? You know, because we think white is right. You know, and that's not true at all. You know, we are just as brilliant and in some cases, I hope I don't get ridiculed for saying this, maybe even more brilliant than others out there. But yet we don't get the credit for it many times. And so I would much rather us say, you know, don't tell me you love me, say you trust me. You know, because if I'm telling you something, like I'm in business, right? I've been in business for 5 years. And, you know, God, the universe, whoever you subscribe to, higher power, has helped me get to where we are. And so I want to share that with other people. But then, you know, they say, you know, they won't listen to me. You know, they want to go, you know, and so, but, you know, there are people who listen to me, obviously, because we wouldn't be in business. But believe it or not, it's people that don't look like me many times. And because many times they don't even know that our business is Black owned. Yeah. Which is, there's an interesting story I got to tell you about that. Well, we're working on I can't go into details, but I'll tell you that off. But we need to come together in our own community. Yeah. You know, and stop letting the powers that be force us out of our communities. Come together. You know, like really come together. You know, whatever happened to the corner store? You know, I was growing up. There was black people own the corner store where I live. And, you know, because I don't want to hear this, you know, the foreigners came in and they took over and did all that. We had a time, at least in my life, that I can remember where Black people owned the businesses in their community. You know, and I think we need to get back to that. Yeah. And help each other and trust each other. You know, if you can help us get our credit fixed, let's listen to you. Yeah. You know, come on, let's start trusting you. And I brought that up because I was saying I walk, right? And so, you know, I'm light skinned. And so there's colorism even within our own race. Yeah. I see someone your complexion, you know, maybe a man, and he has his hand in his pockets, I go on alert. But yet, if some light-skinned person come down, you know, or maybe even a white, I don't necessarily, you know, grab for stuff, if that makes sense. And so we have to, I think, you know, Malcolm X said it, who taught you how to hate yourself? You know, where'd you get that from? I feel like we have so much self-hate and so, you know, self-deprecating ideas. I really do. Yeah. You know, because I hate to keep going back to religion, but we look at you, okay, we say Gentris is practicing hoodoo and stuff like that. Okay, but isn't that more true to your background being a man. African, you know, from Africa? Yeah. I mean, isn't it true, right? Yeah. So who's to say?
They're not educated. That's
you know, yeah, right.
Yeah. And that's what this platform is for, though.
Yeah.
It's to educate, you know, and my thing is, I ain't got to like you, but I can appreciate what you do. It's so many people it's people that do the type of work that we do. It's people that do radio work, whatever, that I don't too much care for, but I can work with them because I like what they do and I respect what they do. And I understand that me using what I got and using what you got is for the better good of our community. I ain't got to, after this event, I don't have to ever fucking talk to you a day of my life. You know what I'm saying? But when it's time to do business, I'll even recommend you to somebody or recommend somebody to you because I like what you do and I respect what you do. But I think that one thing I do know and even with this city, this whole ego thing, everybody be feeling like they just the big bad wolf, you know what I'm saying? Or want to be bigger. I never, a popular host, came to me one day. We was out somewhere. We always speak when we see each other. And I had a couple friends with me, and they was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You funny, whatever. And they was like, oh, yeah, that man, he going to be the next big thing coming. But he ain't going to never be better than me, though.
I know he's talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I ain't going to say what I want to say right now because I don't want to speak no bad health up on me. But To me though, one thing about me, I don't have to react to like I used to, because it used to give me a lot of trouble. So sometimes I just check it. Sometimes I realize that you don't even have to react, to certain shit. Especially when you know where you're going, you ain't gotta react. Noted. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these motherfuckers around here, they just want to be Pensacola famous. You know what I'm saying? But how many people can you touch being Pensacola famous? You know what I'm saying? And when you die, you think you don't get fucking extra credit for saying you from Pensacola? You know what I'm saying? Like,
People be like, what is Pensacola?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I get a 2-story mansion over there. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all may not believe this, but before I moved here, I had never heard of Pensacola.
A lot of people didn't. When I went to Philly, nobody heard about Pensacola.
They say it's in Alabama. No,
Yeah.
We're in Florida.
Yeah.
Over there in the corner.
Yeah,
child.
definitely though. We have to start connecting our resources and, like you said, start trusting each other. But the thing with that, we have to start back doing. Back in the day, the churches our church used to have the busy bees, and there were all the people who had businesses would get together and see how can we. They had the funeral funds where people would donate money. So if somebody died and they couldn't pay for it, when I graduated high school, the church donated money to help me go to school. Yeah. You don't hear about that no more. They built a community. Even the people, my grandmother, when they moved from Alabama, they bought 2 houses on the same land in the 10-yard area from people because the 10-yard area was owned mostly by black people. Yeah, and they bought the land from people in the church. That's what they did for each other. And that's what we need to start. Shout out to DJ Hill, because she does have the community over competition. Mm-hmm. So we have to get back into having those meetings to where, okay, get all your resources together. How can we do X, Y, Z? How can we plan this expo? Well, such and such know I do this. You know I do this. All right, well, y'all need to plan a seminar so y'all can do X, Y, Z together. Yeah, you do. You come.
What you do with it is what you do with it.
Yeah.
Actually, plug next Friday here.
Next. Black Cafe?
No, it's a business.
Oh.
It's a mingle for business entrepreneurs.
I've been wanting to do that. Come on.
Next Friday, 5 to 7. It's on my page.
Okay. Make sure y'all check. And I'll share it on my page. I have it on my page, y'all, man. I definitely feel like, let's do, oh, man.
So that's when you, and even just future entrepreneurs, like I tell people, get in the room.
Get in the room.
Right room, right time, right people.
And the thing is, if you're comfortable in the room, you're probably in the wrong room.
That's another one of my sayings. If you're the smartest in the room,
you're in the wrong room.
You're in the room with somebody who's smart.
Right.
Because I can't learn from, if we both know the same thing, I need to be in a room with somebody smarter than me.
Right. And speaking of these conversations, y'all, do not get us wrong. Like we're trying, like I said, force division. But one thing about Black Americans, indigenous individuals here, we've always had to share everything. When it comes to our culture, we've had to share everything. Yeah. Even when you get into the HBCUs and you get these black organizations for sororities and stuff like that, and now I know with a lot of the media now they're showing how you see white deltas and stuff like that, and because we share everything. But the reason why we had these organizations is because other people won't let us in theirs, and it's okay to finally have something of ours. Right. Start building our own resources, building our own communities back. And two, one thing I'm really interested in is buying the land. That is very important. Start buying some land around this thing, man, so we can really start, having these they got the Black Wall Street in Atlanta. It's very important because pro-black does not mean anti-white. Okay. Pro-black just means that I realize that we have something in our community and we could grow and make our community strong because everybody else makes sure their community is strong. So
they really pay attention to Pensacola.
Yeah, they do. Pensacola is growing. Pensacola is growing now.
But look what they're growing and what way they're growing.
Yeah, and they pushing people out.
Look at the apartments that they're building.
Yeah.
I called the apartments on Pine Forest just to get an idea of how much they wanted for
the ones they're building now.
$1,400 plus renter's insurance. Would I ever pay $1,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment in Pensacola, Florida?
I never thought that a 1-bedroom would cost that much in an apartment.
Yeah.
Not in the South. I can understand.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
I am, but I appreciate y'all for checking in with us tonight. This was a good conversation. Like I said, we'll be doing a mental health check-in once a month, every month. Make sure y'all, like I said, y'all check out August 8th, 2023. I definitely had a flyer on my page. Shout out to Tara and them for coming in. Shout out to London for being in the building too. Shout out to y'all for coming. I appreciate you for telling your story, my co-host. Like I said, this Friday, man, me and Charles Gibson will be hosting the happy hour downtown Pensacola from 5 to 10 p.m. Catch me. Now, let me tell y'all, when y'all come out to 7 o'clock, when that sun start going down, y'all don't get a different gent, okay? Because the whiskey probably gonna be talking then. So just know we gonna be doing some line dancing. I don't get drunk no more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I get a little mellow. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, make sure y'all check it out. Make sure y'all follow us and check us out each and every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. And make sure y'all check out the Black Coffee, the Black Cafe bookstore here. I'll share that information on my page, man. We need somebody up in there. We need to make sure we got some black books. Anything anybody need to put. Oh, Camelia, you got something going on. What's up?
On July 8th, I'll be here at Real Women Radio next door, teaching comedic yoga. I'll be there at 11, and that afternoon at 3, myself and Tanya are gonna be doing comedic yoga, and she's gonna be doing Reiki while I do the yoga. So
What's Reiki?
Reiki is like a form of energy healing. So she's pretty much gonna be working on your chakras. So
Oh, okay.
Energy centers within your body. So comedic yoga. It's just another form of yoga based out of Africa. My teacher is black. You know what I'm saying? So it's just nice to be able to connect with something that my ancestors did and be able to share it amongst the people. Just another way to help heal. Start the journey of healing.
Thank you for that. Anything you got? Anything coming up?
No. But if you, no. No, but thank you for giving me an opportunity to share. Because I'm up here thinking, I'm like, most of the time I do. But once I don't,
y'all will definitely see him again soon. Make sure y'all definitely, like I said, check us out. If you haven't already, download the RWR Live 365 app. Yeah, go ahead.
Mental health. Watch what you eat. That's another thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your gut and mind are connected.
Yeah.
We always say something in my gut told me I had a gut feeling. So watch what you put into your body. You said something about that too.
Yeah.
Watch what you put into your body.
That's true. That's one thing I've been trying to work on, man. But them reels be messing me up. My doctor told me to leave them alone.
With your high blood
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah. So I appreciate y'all again, man. Peace, love, and light. And make sure y'all say your prayers. When you say your prayers, be comforting your prayers. That's the only way they're gonna work. And faith without work is dead. Don't be just waiting on God to send you something that it don't work like that. Man, you gotta put in the work. Yeah.
Don't miss your well till your water when dry.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah,
Don't
see,
miss your water till your well when dry. Something
one of them like that. Yeah, I ain't from Alabama, but you know. Okay. Hey, once again, man, make sure y'all check us out again next week, 8 p.m. Central Time. Y'all have a good